Hello and welcome to Africa Today. I am Esther Mokwariola. It is just early days in the new year with colors of celebration fast fading into shades of reflection as millions across Africa brace up for upsets and breakthroughs in 2018, most of which will have far-reaching impact on the continent's outlook. Amidst the debate on if Africa is still rising or whether it never actually rose, 2017 showed that the continent remains very diverse and complex to possibly be heading in one direction at once. And so we ask, what are your thoughts on projections and expectations for Africa in 2018? You can join the conversation and share your thoughts with us on Twitter at TVC News NG. We'll take a report now, and Africa Today will be right back. Welcome on board.
Highways in Kaduna nearly deserted with very little vehicular presence on them. The people have certainly seen better days than now. Many of those whose vehicles are still on the roads tell me they've been paying through their noses.
Honestly, we are suffering and we cannot continue like this. In fact, as I'm talking to you in Kaduna now, we don't even know when this thing will come to an end.
Elsewhere, the block market is booming. The streets are littered with young people making fast cash, occasioned by the torrid times. And driving a little further, we caught up with this queue spanning several kilometers on Muhammadu Buhari Way. Commuters have been here for nearly a week, waiting for when the product will be available. They tell me they are not sure of when it will come, but are still keeping hope alive.
I couldn't go to work yesterday. I actually came around yesterday morning. And ever since then, they promised us that the fuel will actually arrive yesterday night. Ever since then, he came around again. We met the manager. As the owner of the filling station, we met him. He says on its way coming down to Kaduna. And up to now, we've not seen anything, but he has assured us.
My home car is here since Thursday. See my bed. Now here, Thursday last week. Now here I day here since Thursday. Now I day here.
But some tell me they've resorted to keeping their cars at home and out for public. They say the Yuletide holiday wasn't the best of time as they couldn't catch up with loved ones.
Hardly will you see two filling stations in Kaduna Metropolis, to be specific, that is selling fuel. So what are we talking about? So it's just deceit. It's a political deceit, and Nigerians must rise up to that. We can't afford to keep allowing ourselves to be deceived every now and then, making it look as if all things are right. Things are not right.
There's widespread information that the fuel situation has improved in Lagos and Abuja. It's a situation that angers Kaduna residents who say they are considered second class. They want a lasting solution to the fuel crisis. They insist that the scarcity has become a shame to the Nigerian state, and they want it addressed once and for all. Tessem Akinde, TVC News, Kaduna.
Call it crystal ball watching, agenda setting, or common sense hypothesis, likely events and definite outcomes already project a mixed bag for Africa in the coming months. In Nigeria, issues that borders on politics, economy, social welfare, insecurity and insurgency continue to make the top of news headlines and dominate public discourse. Well, I have with me in the studio now a communications consultant and the Nigerian politician Bolaji Adeniji to express his thoughts on issues surrounding what we just mentioned earlier on. Good to have you on the program at this moment. So now let's begin with your thoughts on the political and social developments in Africa and, of course, Nigeria coming into 2018. What do you make of all that has happened now?
Well, it's been an interesting year. It's been a mixed scenario all over Africa and Nigeria in particular. I think the highlight for Africa in 2017 was actually the election of George Opongwe as the president of Liberia, having to surmount a lot of ordeals, trying over 12 years ago, and within that time, has already gone through a lot of process, and what a number of people thought ordinarily wouldn't be able to happen has actually happened. The election was peaceful, the votes counted, the will of the people actually prevailed, and I think that is the shining example that Africa has given to the world. And I think for me, that's the best for Africa this year. And I think it's a lesson for other African nations to learn.
To take a cue from. So what about the economic aspect? Do you think we've done better, coming from 2017 into 2018? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think we've just been fair, to be truthful. African nations actually had to grapple with one recession, basically. Nigeria, in fact, the two biggest economies in Africa, South Africa and Nigeria, actually came out of recession in the year 2017. We exited in second quarter of 2017, and I think South Africa slightly afterwards. And so if you look at it from that aspect, look at that we have had a continent that have struggled with the changing dynamics in the world economy, okay, especially since the assumption of President Trump as the United States president is gone out with far-reaching policies that have actually been against the interests of Africa. And so Africa has been looking towards the direction of China, okay, for support, for finance support, for infrastructure support. So that change actually, okay, stagnated Africa a bit. But I think towards the end of the year, we stabilized and we began to see some form of recovery along Africa.
And talking about economy now, this brings to mind what Nigerians are experiencing in some parts of the country, fuel scarcity.
Yes.
No one expected this to happen, even though it's more like a common trend where, during some celebrations, fuel supply is very, very low. Now, what do you make of this, on seeming, how will I put it now, a problem that doesn't seem to have a solution, especially in Nigeria? What do you make of this?
I think the fuel scarcity is a perennial shame of the Nigerian state. You almost see it recurring virtually every year. And government in this climate seems not to have answers to it. And it's shocking, it's baffling. Despite the economic holocaust that Nigerians had to contend with at the end of the year with the usual malaise of fuel scarcity. And to some of us, we are befuddled that after how many years, we do not seem to get it right, and we don't know what exactly we need to do to stop this shame. And I think for this current government that came into power with so much promises, they saw the organs table that they need to clean it. And nothing has been done to address the corruption, the cesspool of corruption that NNPC has become. What is happening right now is just sheer ineptitude of the part of NNPC. The NNPC is the sole importer of fuel into this country, okay, and also the price regulator. The challenge that we have at the moment is that they are already burdened by demand. They are not able to meet supply, and they are caught in between allowing the independent marketers to bring in payments into this country and then sell at their own price, or retain the monopoly of supply, fix the price, and then cope with scarcity. That's the challenge that we have right now. They have fixed the price of the pump price of fuel at 145. At the same time, they are saying the landing cost is 171. So who has been paying the 26 naira differential? That means they've been paying subsidy. And yet this government claims it has not been paying subsidy. The very things that it denigrated the last government for. And so you see a lot of inconsistency in the PMS sector. And I think that's what is responsible for this shortage that we have.
All right, let's quickly go on a short break. You're watching Africa Today. We'll be back with more discussions on this. Welcome back. Well, I still have in the studio with me Bolaji Adeniji, communications consultant, and of course a member of the PDP, a Nigerian politician, in fact. Now let's go back to, issues pertaining to economic development in Nigeria and of course in Africa. One would say that, apart from what you've mentioned now, fuel scarcity is a problem in Nigeria, and it's something that the government hasn't really been able to tackle, apart from the present government, even past administrations as well.
Yes.
So, but what's the way forward if we're to look at, rising above this challenge? Because it's something that some would say that the best solution to this is, local refineries, modular refineries, and all of that, so that everything will be in the past. But aside from this, yes, what's the way forward to ensure that our economy isn't stagnant? We are moving, better. We're coming better from where we were in 2017.
I think the starting point will be for this government to be sincere with itself. It came into power on the back of 3 items: insecurity, economy, and corruption. And it promised to tackle these 3 items headlong. Okay? I think if you look at the budget, the speech of Mr. President on the 1st of January, I observed, among many things, statements of intention. We will, we shall, we plan, we have approved, and not a single that we have completed. And so we have a government that after 3 years is still running around governance, still making tentative moves. This government needs to come to the table to agree that, come, we are here. We have not gotten our act right. The 2017 budget, as at December last year, most of the ministries, departments and agencies of government have just 12 to 15% performance. And of the capital project, we had just about 40% performance. And so that cannot take you anywhere. After exiting recession in the 2nd quarter, the government came up with the economic growth and recovery plan. That was the document put together to actually try to put Nigeria back on the path of economic recovery. And the fulcrum of that document is predicated on external borrowings. External borrowings that were just approved in November 2017. And if you look at the World Bank Index report, it says that though we have come out of recession, but our borrowing, our disposition to borrowing will be very difficult, because our income compared to our population is not congruent, and so our per capita income have largely reduced, and so our debt sustainability is not there. That is why government now wants to run away from local borrowings and in pursuit of external borrowings at shorter percentages. Which isn't good for us. I don't know how they want to now put that into 2018. Now there's a new budget. We want to start the rituals all over again. And if you look at what has characterized the current budget, pardons, instances in the budget. And so I just do not know how this government hopes to run itself in 2018. So
but should we be optimistic, as it were, perhaps?
We will say Nigeria should be optimistic.
Okay.
But that optimism, what it wants to be predicated upon, is left to the conjecture of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration.
And still talking about, issues affecting Nigerians now. Of recent now, there's this issue of herdsmen killings,
yes,
especially in the Middle Belt and in the North, where we have the Boko Haram terrorist activities. All this happened in the new year. And one is wondering, while entering the new year with this challenge of insecurity, even though the president has come out to say or assured Nigerians that he is doing his best to ensure that we are protected, we are safe. But is that enough to assure everyone, or is that reassuring enough? Let me put it that way.
Mr. President is not doing his best. And we have to be brutally frank here. Look, the menace on our hand is beyond. I don't want to come here to tell you what number has been killed. We all have that information. As at 2015, maybe you don't know, the Global Terrorism Index had actually listed the Fulani herdsmen as a terrorist group, number 4th in the world. Behind ISIS, behind the Taliban, behind Al-Shabaab, we have the Fulani herdsmen, we have Boko Haram. So it means of the 5 top terrorist organizations in the world, 2 of it are domiciled in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is significant. That calls for urgent action by a serious and responsible government. What are we talking about here? We have the Fulani herdsmen, who are populated by what we call transhumans, Fulani people who coming from outside the country and move around the route from the north down to the south to cause havoc. bearing sophisticated arms and killing people. And this government has been lethargic. The inertia at actually frontally addressing this Fulani herdsmen issue has brought about all manner of spectre
so
of
what would you
insinuation.
expect the president to do
Now,
to ensure that this is, behind us?
The president needs to show Nigerians, Africans, and the world that he is not condoning the Fulani militia. It's one of them, in principle. But the issue here is not about ownership. It's not about association. It's about the life of Nigerians. Between 2011 and 2014, we had just about 80,000 to 100,000. Between that time and now, there have been about 100. There have been over 100,000 deaths due to cattle rearers in this same country. Just 3 days ago, look at the massacre that happened in Benue. Just this morning, look at what happened in Numa. Look at what happened in southern Kaduna. Look at what happened in Nimbo in Anambra State. Look at what happened in Adamawa. And if you look at these numbers, they have been killing Nigerians. This government needs to step up action. I don't know what has happened to intelligence.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know what has happened to intelligence. If you look, the Fulani herdsmen menace can be streamlined. They have what we call the grazing route. We know where they are moving from. We know the pattern of the states whereby they go. And if you look at these cases, they go about the program in settled communities around the grazing routes and reserves. Why can't you deploy your intelligence along those routes? Why can't a sensible government let your security agencies bust on these isolated herdsmen unannounced? You are going to find AK-47 on them. You're going to find instruments and weapons on them. And by the time you begin to clamp down on them, they begin to know that, hey, a new sheriff is in town. We cannot go about bearing arms and slaughtering people as though these are not Nigerians. So I think the Fulani herdsmen menace has gone beyond people protecting their cows. We are now having extremism and terrorism reinvigorated.
So the president should take this matter lightly.
He should now take the issue of the Fulani herdsmen as a terrorist act that needs to be confronted.
All right, let's move away from that now. Let's go into politics proper now, which is also your line of specialty. Let's look at the strength of the opposition now. The PDP, for some time, people were saying that, they've been, laying down too much. They haven't given the strength as it ought to be as the opposition, which your party which you represent as a party. What would you say, 2018, do you think the PDP can really give the APC a run for its mandate in 2019, and knowing fully well that the people are really looking for change this time around?
I think after the 2015 election that we lost the election to lost central government to the APC, the PDP has been through a lot. We've had our challenges. We now have a new national leadership. Okay, we are reinvigorated, we are re-energized, and we are now attuned to the needs of Nigerians, being social welfare and economic prosperity. So I think that is what the PDP, the new PDP now, is willing to offer Nigerians from 2019. I think the challenge for Nigerians right now is to understand that, look, there are a set of people who have run government, who understand the nuances of government. But maybe because of a bit of exuberance, due to the long time that we have been in office, we became exuberant. And we took Nigerians probably for a bit of granted. We have apologized. And we've learned our lessons. But we have a set of people in power who came to power just for the purpose of holding power. They've been very tentative with governance. They have not seemed to have a grasp of issues around governance. And that is why the economy is low today, insecurity is rife, and corruption has festered.
But they still blame the PDP for taking us to where we are today,
That is irresponsibility. 3 years down the line, you are still blaming the PDP. You knew the issues before you came to power. Mr. President knew he attempted to be president on 4 occasions. It means you must have taken the whole gamut of what the issues around Nigeria is, the issues around our economy, the issue about our corporate governance. That's why there's a cry for restructuring today. Because 3 years down the line, the very reasons for which Nigerians rejected the PDP are still very much there and are festering. And so where do Nigerians need to go? What will happen is that Nigerians need to give the PDP the chance.
And do you think Nigerians are ready to do that?
Nigerians are willing. They are ready. They have been disappointed. They have experienced dashed hopes. All the major promises of the current government under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari has been broken irredeemably. There's failure of governance on all facets of the Nigerian society. So I think even beyond party politics in 2015, what will determine the swing of elections will be personality. Nigerians are now wise. They are not attuned to their rights. You can't come in and tell them you are PDP or you are APC, therefore they should vote for you. You want to know who you are. And so you are going to have parties trying to bring their best people on board to show Nigerians that we have the kind of people with the character and the competence. Look, Mr. President is very, very sincere. But there's a difference between meaning well and doing well. He's sincere to say Nigeria move forward. He's a patriot, but he just lacks the capacity to move Nigeria forward.
All right, let's hope and see how...
That's the challenge that we have.
Okay, let's wait and see how the PDP turns things around for us in 2019. But let's look at projections now for this, new year we are in. What do you project? What are you anticipating?
Well, in a climate like ours, the year before election is usually a busy one. It will be majorly characterized by politics. We can't take that away. Yes, a few things will happen around the economy, but we cannot deceive ourselves. It will be overshadowed by politics because the politics of succession is going to happen.
Politics of succession on the part of who now?
Politics of succession on the part of the government in power.
All right.
Whether Mr. President wants to succeed himself or somebody else wants to succeed him, and we also have the opposition party trying to come into power. And so 2018 is basically about politics. And that's where our fear. Because in Nigeria, you spend the 2 years to do governance, or the first 3 years to do governance, and you use the last year to do politics. It's difficult. You have to move around. You have to put yourself, your party, and yourself in a position to be able to win the election and come back. And so that naturally hobbles governance. So that's why if you don't use your first 2-3 years in office to achieve and deliver on your earlier promises, you are going to use the last year to do politics. And so we are going to a stage whereby Nigerians cannot really get the best of the current of the current government. And so that's why we are saying we are already in the cul-de-sac. And so it is for Nigerians now to begin to look out for people as they come out now to aspire for public office. I can say we are done with the current government, with the current 4 years. Let us begin to project now what can happen to Nigerians from 2019. Can Nigerians begin to have better social security? Can Nigerians begin to enjoy better social welfare? Can Nigerians begin to have an economy that is well run? Can there be better security? Can the issues around devolutions of power, issues about separations of power,
even restructuring,
can we begin to have those issues put into perspective? And how will that come to be? Is by having the right persons in power at all levels of government by 2019. So I think this year is for us. While we are hoping that government will do its best to try to put the economy on the right footing, preparation 2019 is for Nigerians to now begin to look at the choices ahead of them.
But do we have any choices here? Because some would say our choices are limited because we'll keep having some of the same in the next election.
Unfortunately so. And I want to use the opportunity to appeal to Nigerians that look, we have to have a paradigm shift. We cannot keep doing the same things and experience a different result. If we kowtow to money bags who give you stipends in exchange for 4 years of suffering, then you're going to continue having the same result. So Nigerians have to jettison money bags, jettison godfathers, and begin to look out for individuals with proven antecedents, with the requisite capacity and character, most importantly, that when they get to public office, they understand that they have come to serve. There's this responsibility that they put on and discharge such responsibilities because, look, the monies that any governor, any president appropriates is not for him. And so when you put somebody who doesn't have that character, who doesn't have that competence in office, he gets there and makes a mess of it. So Nigeria should not make a mess of the next 4 years by putting people who do not have the requisite capacity in power. And so for us, it's to watch out, to make more demands of Mr. President, to be more forthright with the economy, and to be more truthful with the economy.
All right.
And to also work around the issues of security and corruption.
And we hope that everything turns around for good for Nigerians in 2018. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bolaji Adeniji, communications consultant and a Nigerian politician. We appreciate all you said on the program.
You're most welcome.
While 2018 ended with interesting political outcomes across Africa, 2018 is expected to unfold in similar fashion, with millions of people reaching out via the ballot to hit the reset button on broken democracies and failed promises. Across the continent, good governance has gone from being a subtle request to a strong demand, where leaders have no excuse but to deliver on the dividends of democracy. And that's about it for the program. Thanks a lot for watching. I am Esther Omokwariola. Don't forget to get more. You can follow me on Twitter. That's at Esther TVC News, and also at TVC News NG. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.